The rocks scattered throughout Berkeley, California, especially in its neighborhoods and parks, are indeed a fascinating part of the city's landscape and geological history. Here's a breakdown of their origin, development, and cultural significance, especially in the context of neighborhoods developed by Mason-McDuffie and others. In the early 1900s, real estate developers like Mason-McDuffie began shaping Berkeley's residential neighborhoods. They played a major role in designing around these unique rock outcroppings, rather than blasting or removing them. This was both practical and aesthetic. Thousand Oaks and Cragmont, developed in the 1910s and 1920s by Mason-McDuffie, these areas were marketed as natural garden suburbs, highlighting the presence of massive boulders and stone formations as unique features. Instead of leveling the land, planners incorporated the rocks into yards, streetscapes, and even as centerpieces of parks. These developers used the rocks as part of a branding strategy to attract homebuyers who appreciated the rugged, natural beauty of the Bay Area hills. Many of these rock features have been preserved in many parks and open spaces, such as Indian Rock Park, a large outcrop popular for beginner rock climbing and sunset watching. Cragmont Rock Park, Mortar Rock Park, Grotto Rock Park, Great Stoneface Park. These parks are beloved today not just for their geologic curiosity, but for their recreational value and historical ties to Berkeley's early development. Most of the prominent rocks you see in Berkeley, especially in the North Berkeley, Thousand Oaks, and Cragmont neighborhoods, are not volcanic in origin, but Franciscan chert, greywacke, and serpentinite, all part of the Franciscan complex. Franciscan chert, hard, reddish rock made mostly of microscopic silica fossils, radiolarians. Formed on the ocean floor around 100 to 150 million years ago. Greywacke sandstone, a dark, coarse sedimentary rock formed from underwater landslides, turbidity currents. Serpentinite, California's state rock, greenish and slick, formed deep in the Earth's mantle, later pushed up along fault lines. These rocks were uplifted by tectonic action over millions of years, particularly due to the movement of the Hayward Fault, which runs right through Berkeley. That fault movement fractured and lifted the Franciscan complex, leaving rocks exposed in what are now residential neighborhoods. Great Stoneface Park, located at 1930 Thousand Oaks Boulevard, was originally a gift from Mason-McDuffie Real Estate Company to the city in 1921 during the development of the North Berkeley neighborhood. The park, known for its volcanic rock formation, was dedicated for park purposes at that time. About 11.5 million years ago, volcanoes somewhere south of today's San Jose erupted thick lavas rich in silica, called rhyolites. In 1820, the Spanish crown granted the area from Berkeley to San Leandro to Luis Maria Peralta, who had come to the area with the De Anza expedition in 1775 and later governed San Jose. He gave today's Berkeley to his son Domingo, but gold rush immigrants overran the rancheros. Domingo died a pauper in 1865. The area of the rocks became a ranch owned by a Nevada senator who had made a fortune from mining. Leased to a Civil War veteran named Benjamin Boswell, the ranch was a popular picnic destination for town dwellers. In 1902, the area of Grotto, Mortar, India, and Contra Costa Rock Parks was bought by the Berkeley Development Company, a partnership of Louis Titus, Duncan McDuffie, John Spring, and others, who gained control of most of the land surrounding Berkeley. In the boom following the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, they subdivided the area as North Berkeley, with amenities including stone pillars, pink concrete sidewalks, and the rhyolite outcrops set aside as parks. Grotto Rock Park is located on Santa Barbara Road at Indian Rock Avenue. Again, this rock was a gift to the city of Berkeley from Mason-McDuffie Real Estate in 1917. It is the size of a large lot that preserves a nice outcrop of the remarkable North Berkeley rhyolite. The first thing you'll notice about it is its very light color. This is volcanic lava. Unlike the black, low-silica basaltic lava we know from the Hawaiian volcanoes, rhyolite is light-colored and very high in silica. That makes it very stiff, even at the highest temperatures. Rhyolite lavas tend to form domes, like the Inyo domes just south of Mono Lake or the central peaks of the Sutter Buttes. After the North Berkeley rhyolite erupted, about 11.5 million years ago, the silica in it permeated the rock and turned it exceptionally hard and solid. It's just about the best rock there is for climbing. Even the littlest toeholds will bear your weight. Most of Berkeley's rock parks feature the North Berkeley rhyolite. Yes, the rock is beautiful, but the developers gave the land to the city because the rock is so indestructible the lots couldn't be built upon. Grotto Rock is said to offer better views than Indian Rock. Growing up in the Thousand Oaks neighborhood, I also referred to this rock as Santa Barbara Rock. I've spent most of my life living in North Berkeley, and even as a kid climbing the rocks or hanging out with my friends as a teenager on Friday nights, I knew then these were unique and very special places. I have never taken for granted the rocks, the many creeks, the lush hillsides, the beautifully designed streets, and the breathtaking views of the San Francisco Bay. We are blessed to live in such a unique area. It is extremely important we maintain these rocks for generations to come. Indian Rock Park is the granddaddy of all of Berkeley's rock parks. Scarcely an acre, it comprises a cluster of rhyolite outcroppings, deposited here by volcanic eruptions some 10 million years ago, when one-humped camels and three-toed horses and four-tusked elephants, gomphotheres, wandered the continent. You would hardly guess, but the golden age of Yosemite climbing was launched here at Indian Rock by an adventurous band of Cal students. Young David Brower, who went on to become one of the leading environmentalists of the 20th century, was one of the Piton pioneers. Others included Bester Robinson, Jules Eichhorn, and Dick Leonard, who has been called the father of modern rock climbing. Legends all, and Cal grads to boot, they etched their names in the record of first ascents in Yosemite and across the West, but not before learning the ropes here, literally. It was at Indian Rock and nearby Cragmont that they developed the ropecraft and belay techniques that would allow them to climb more fearsome objectives elsewhere, with a modicum of safety. Ropes are seldom used at Indian Rock these days. For decades, the name of the game here has been bouldering, a brand of climbing where the emphasis is on difficulty, not altitude. At one point in the 1970s, the hardest known boulder problem was located just up the street in Mortar Rock Park. A feat of endurance and gymnastic ability, the problem is called Nat's Traverse, after Nat Smale. You can scale Indian Rock without being a climber. The aforementioned steps wend their way to the top gently enough for kids, seniors, and guitar-toting path wanderers. Once on top of the rock, visitors gain a sweeping view out over the rooftops to the wide expanse of the bay and the Golden Gate beyond, the same view that inspired the university's founders to recall the lines of Bishop Berkeley, thereby giving campus, and the city that grew up around it, its name. Don't be intimidated by the area's impressive history. As John the Vermin Sherman noted in his Stone Crusade, a historical guide to bouldering in America, Indian Rock is a very social area, where locals flock after work as much to hang out with their friends as to boulder. The scene at Indian Rock is diverse, relaxed, and inclusive. Mortar Rock Park is located at 901 Indian Rock Avenue. It is named for the bedrock formations that were used by the Ohlone people to grind acorns and other seeds into meal. This rock is overshadowed by Indian Rock down the street but is as historic. The bedrock formations in the park, particularly the Mortar Rock, contain numerous depressions of mortars, created by the Ohlone people over centuries as they processed food and potentially medicines. The park is a popular spot for bouldering, with climbers utilizing the rhyolite rock formations for various routes and challenges. Mortar Rock Park was a gift to the city of Berkeley from Mason-McDuffie Real Estate Company during its development of the North Bay area. The company owner, Duncan McDuffie, was a real estate mogul, but among other things, he was a mountaineer and served as the Sierra Club president. It was dedicated for park purposes in 1917. By the time the Spanish arrived in 1769, California was densely populated with diverse groups of indigenous people speaking perhaps 100 different languages and living in many tribes that moved around and traded with each other. One of these tribes was the Zeusian Ohlone, living in parts of what are now Contra Costa and Alameda counties. The term Ohlone was later used as an alternative to Costanon, meaning of the coast, to draw together the disparate Bay Area tribes that had been devastated by California's settlers. The first recorded meetings of the Spanish and Ohlone came in 1772, when a Spanish expedition led by Captain Pedro Fages traveled through the Bay Area. Contra Costa Rock, located on Contra Costa Avenue off Solano Avenue, is part of Berkeley's North Bay Rock Park system, has a history rooted in both natural geology and the development of the area. It's a volcanic rock formation that was incorporated into the North Bay neighborhood development as a public park in the early 20th century. The park also holds significance for its connection to the indigenous Ohlone people, who used the rocks for various purposes. The most notable carvings are mortar holes, which are depressions of different shapes worn into the rocks. Indigenous people, particularly the Ohlone people who inhabited the area, used these mortars to grind food items like acorns and seeds. Shallower, bowl-shaped mortars were used for grinding acorns, while conical mortars with steeper walls were used to process seeds and grasses. The presence of multiple mortar holes at a site like Contra Costa Rock Park could indicate the number of people who regularly used the location for processing food. While some carvings have been attributed to Native Americans, it's essential to recognize that the interpretation and significance of these sites are rooted in the oral traditions and cultural heritage of the indigenous people themselves. Respect for these sites and their history is crucial, and it's important to approach them with sensitivity and a willingness to learn about the perspectives of the indigenous people who continue to hold them sacred. It is also important to note that many indigenous artifacts and sites have been destroyed due to colonization, making the preservation of remaining sites like Contra Costa Rock Park even more vital. Cragmont Rock Park began with neighbors buying the 3-acre parcel from Cragmont Land Company and donated it to Berkeley. The park was officially dedicated in 1920. The park is located at 960 Regal Road. In March 1932, law students led by Dick Leonard formed the Cragmont Climbing Club, which soon merged with the Sierra Club rock climbing section. The stone gazebo, benches, and stairways were developed in that era to provide access and scenic ambience. Again, like the other rocks, the Ohlone people utilized these outcrops as grinding stones for acorn flour, evident from mortar pits visible in nearby parks. The Ohlone people have a deep and significant history with the Berkeley rocks, particularly Indian Rock and Mortar Rock, which were once important gathering and ceremonial sites. These rocks, located in the North Berkeley neighborhood, are considered sacred by the Ohlone, who have lived in the Bay Area for thousands of years. While today they are also popular for recreation like rock climbing, Ohlone people maintain a deep connection to the area and its history. Remillard Park, located at 80 Poppy Lane in the Berkeley Hills. The park preserves an old landmark of the Berkeley Hills called Pinnacle Rock. It sits uphill from Cragmont Rock, which is typical North Berkeley rhyolite like the stuff in the other rock parks. Around the turn of the century, the land in the Berkeley Hills was purchased, subdivided and developed as particularly elegant streetcar suburbs, Cragmont, North Berkeley, Thousand Oaks, and so on. Peter Remillard, the wealthy brickmaker and prodigious landowner who got his start in Oakland, acquired the Pinnacle Rock property, but any plans he had for an estate there died with him in 1904. The land stayed in the family, and in 1963 his daughter Lillian, better known as the fabulous socialite Countess Dandini, gave it to the city of Berkeley for a park on the condition it bear the family's name. Pinnacle Rock is mostly untouched except by vegetation that has crept in since the Ohlones were prevented from their practice of regular burning. The city purchased additional acreage in 1969 and 1970. The day I was there shooting the video, there was a Berkeley summer climbing camp going on. In 1861, the eminent photographer Carlton Watkins was hired to record landmarks in what remained of the San Antonio Rancho under the ownership of Vicente and Domingo Peralta, which is seen here. Founders Rock is a historical site located on the corner of Hearst Avenue and Gailey Road, in Berkeley. The University of California was founded in 1868, but its origins date back to 1860 when the College of California, a small, private institution then located in Oakland, purchased 30 acres of land for the benefits of a country location. The rock is a natural outcropping of unusual geologic composition that may have been thrust up by activity centuries ago on the nearby Hayward Fault. It was once the most prominent feature in the surrounding landscape. The plaque commemorating Founders Rock was placed there by the graduating class of 1896.